What is up, Facebook world? This is Kimberly and Connor Tracy over here at Big Red SEO. We also have Miss Bailey's down here. I swear we have to get a bench for her because she feels so left out. She's like, come on, guys. Like, I want to be part of it. The screen's just only so big. So before we started the video, it was cute because she was doing this little like finger. I was doing a pachu, pachu, pachu. And she was trying to chew my fingers. So she always wants to be on camera. But she is present. She's here. So happy Friday to every one of you guys. Hopefully you're having a great September so far. We are over here in Omaha, Nebraska. We have been watching a lot of people that follow us as well as engaged, and it's kind of cool watching a lot of the growth that's happened, even with the situation that we're in right now with the world kind of going in different changes, right? Mm-hmm. Today, we actually wanted to chat with you guys about some areas that happen inside of a website design that can cost you pretty substantially if you don't catch them, right? These are probably not going to surprise you, right? You might find that you have one or three or maybe all 5, 7 of them.
Yeah.
But it's something that we want to bring to your attention because whether you guys hire a web designer like us, right? And or you decide to go at it on your own. There's no right way to go about this, right? Like, yeah, you can for sure hire the experts that do it. They're faster, they're quicker, they'll bring stuff to the table where you can know and understand and maybe ask them new questions, right? However, if you opt to design your own site, if it's in WordPress, that's fine too. Just know that there might be some limitation. We about had everything go down. Connor stayed so calm, but she put her sticks over in her chair. She's mad. Will you go move your sticks? Just get up and go move. Now she's got the ball. I don't know where this episode's going to go. She wants to be in this video.
Okay, so the title of this video is Mistakes Cost Money. And Bailey's is not a mistake. Don't get me wrong.
No, she is not a mistake.
But I still believe it's a mistake that Bailey's down here during a video time.
Oh, no.
Because she can destroy different things.
Oh, goodness. Okay. Yep, he just totally activated that inside of me. So we're just going to proceed forward. Like, that comment was not mentioned on video about his dog daughter. Okay, so let's dive in, right?
Sure.
So when it comes to website design, there's stuff that, guys, this could happen subconsciously. You don't even pay attention to it, and or it can happen on purpose. So Connor, dive in. First thing that can cost you in a website design.
Probably from a website design end of things,
yeah.
It's just not testing it, not making sure that it actually works.
Yeah.
Whether it's on a mobile phone or whether it's on a desktop or on an iPad, when we do a launch or whatnot on our end, we don't necessarily always have access to every kind of device that's out there.
Yeah.
But your website should be tested on every kind of device you can access. So sometimes our clients will have a version of a phone that we don't have. It's like, okay, great. Load everything up. Let's test. Let's run through everything, make sure it's all working. And then as you watch your analytics, then again, watch what the most popular browsers are, what the most popular sizes are, and then retest.
For sure. Like, we have seen this happen time and time again where people don't test. They don't test if it's mobile. They don't test if it's iPad, desktop. They don't even actually test their own contact form. And then so it might be going years. Like, I can't recall how many companies we've had come to us where like, we're not getting any contacts from our contact form. And the reality is the contact form was never tested in the first place, and it had been broken the entire time, right? We actually build a database inside of the contact forms in WordPress. So that way, if the contact form is not sent via email or it gets lost or into spam, somebody can actually see it. And then we actually make it part of our process internally to test our own contact form pretty often, right? But just making sure that the functionality on the site actually works is a huge, huge factor, right? I would say the number one financial error that people have in their website design is they actually make the font too small. So there's something about the personalities that love Apple. It's not designated for millennials or non-millennials. It doesn't go that granular. What we found is a pattern on people that love Apple, love fonts that are smaller. They love the white space. They love the just being small and simple, right? But here's one behavior people with Apples do. They actually expand the text on their phone. Right? So like I'll see it. I'll be sitting next to somebody with an Apple and be like, yeah, I want this really small and elegant font. And then I'm like, oh, what does that say? And then they go and expand the font on their phone, or they try to make it bigger so they can actually read it, right? So from an end user perspective, you actually want to make sure that the font is big enough that it can actually be legible without having to lean in and squint, right? There's a functionality that you can actually have inside your site where you can actually allow the end user to expand the font or even shrink the font too, right? Mm-hmm. Which is a kind of cool little feature to have. However, I would say font is one of the number ones.
Just jumping on there along with the font end of things.
Yeah.
The other mistake, the one that costs the money, would be the content.
Yeah.
So not just the font size being 12, 14 pixels instead of 18. These days on the web, 16, 18 is what's recommended. We're even building websites, some of them with 20 pixels. It just depends on the type of website and the clientele.
And the font style, right? We have some that are like huge. We're like, oh, you gotta like shrink that down a little bit. But it makes sense for them, right? So again, just understanding. So one habit around fonts, right? This might not cost you immediately, but this is going to cost you in people wondering if you're professional or not. Got it? This is whenever you actually copy content from a Word doc or another file, and then spam text gets added into your site inside your content. So what happens with this, and you might have gone to a page that has this, is all the fonts will be uniformed, and then all of a sudden in the middle of a sentence there'll be like bigger words, weird letters, weird symbols, and whatever else, and then it goes super tiny again. And there might actually be 1, maybe 3, 7 different styles based on what actual font did they import in. This is classified as spam text. So if you're using WordPress, I think any site, actually, not even just WordPress, it's recommended to put the content into a text editor that strips all of it out. But in WordPress, you can actually just click the tab text versus visual. So click the tab text, paste your content in, take it back to visual so you get all the fun stuff and it's not necessarily code. And then that fixes the problem, and you never have to worry about that, right?
And in WordPress, there is actually a button in what's called the title, the kitchen sink, where you got the bold, italics, underlines. There's a button in there to paste from Word, and that'll automatically strip everything for you. We've naturally gone to the text tab for so long. That's still our default way. We know for sure it's going to strip everything. But there is a button in there for them.
I just think it's funny that WordPress called that a kitchen sink. It makes sense because everything's in there. Everything that you would need is in there. But I'm like, not everything I need is technically in my own kitchen. My kitchen sink stays pretty clean all the time, right? But I do find it fascinating that that's what they called it. So I would say definitely font. Make sure you pay attention to that. Fonts also, make sure that they're legible, right? So like we play with a lot of different designs, whether it's the script cursive or something to that extent. Having different stuff like that is really cool and adds some of your personality. But there's certain things you need to make sure you avoid. So prime example, if you decide to do a script style of text, stay away from capitalization. It does not work. It's not legible. It doesn't look good. People feel like you're yelling at them, and then you're yelling at them with a little bit of elegance, but you might come across bitchy, and it's really confusing, right? So there's certain behaviors in fonts that you want to stay away from. There's also certain fonts that are just not easy to read. So try to avoid those. If you can't read it and you're kind of like, I just don't know, stay away from them.
Well, and even from that, if you're using an uncommon font, let's say you're not using a Google font, which is installed within your CMS or within your website, and you're having
this leads us into the next thing that can cost people financially, right?
If the user has to download the font, it's going to slow down their website, which then directly leads into...
Which is site speed. You guys should know this by now. Site speed is the #1 indicator in SEO, right? It's kind of one of those things that if your site doesn't load within a half a second to 1 second, that's how quick it is now, guys. You're up for some troubles, right? And yeah, you can get away with 2, maybe 3 seconds. But if you're a shopping cart, your website has to load quick and fast, because if not, they're going to bail out, and or they're going to drop in the middle of a conversion or drop in the middle of a checkout process.
Especially on the homepage. The homepage has to be right
Lightning
there.
fast, yeah.
When you start getting inside pages, or you're dealing with photography or different products and stuff like that allow people to zoom in, they're going to generally wait a little bit longer for that.
Yeah.
But your homepage, because everybody goes to the homepage first, that has to be quick. And then the checkout process, that leads us right into that whole system.
The next one, you have to check, like if you have a shopping cart where you're taking payments, and it doesn't have to be, it's always a shopping cart. So if you take payments inside your website, more than likely it's going to be a shopping cart. So you can have a shopping cart based on selling a product, or you can have a shopping cart based on selling a service, right? Either way. Mm-hmm. Or you can even have a shopping cart for accepting donations. But in either case, you have to test out to make sure that it actually works, right? A lot of people will immediately say, oh, yeah, I set it all up and it's great. And they never actually put through a test transaction, right? We have seen this happen time and time again,
and it
where
could be
it just
weeks.
doesn't work.
Yeah, it could be weeks if that's not tested.
Remember the one that was like almost 9 months? Yeah. 9 months, and there was an error inside the checkout process. So they had not sold any products for 9 months.
They had not sold any products through that credit card system. Yep. They had sold products through the PayPal link. Yeah. So there were 2 different ways of checking out.
And there's like behavior-wise, like here's another one. This is less cost you financial money. This will actually enhance your user experience. It is ideal that you offer multiple different payment options. So whether it's PayPal, whether it's Google Pay, Apple Pay, like there's not too many at this point. There's specific people that are choosing to vote with their dollars certain ways. So if you only allow PayPal, people might actually decide not to buy from you. In this, guys, reality, this happens. People are just like, I want to use this and I don't want to use this. I know about this and I don't know about this, right?
And Apple Pay is a great example, because if you're on an Apple phone and you go to the checkout, it's going to have a button. You click that with Apple Pay. Yeah. You don't have to enter anything else in. It's paid. It's done. So, why wouldn't you offer that? Now, at the same time, Kim is saying make sure you offer all the different things. That doesn't mean you have, 8 different selections of you're going to pay with Authorize.net, and you pay with PayPal, and you pay with Stripe, and you pay with SquareUp. That's all credit card. So that's all one side. Then you've got PayPal, or then you've got Venmo, and those options that go there
too. A lot of different options, right? Just make sure that you actually use it, right? So make sure that you are an active user yourself, and just give options, right? Here's a funny thing I just realized, side tangent. Connor knows I'm very particular about my space, right? Like, he knows I'm very particular about what's put on my desk. Like, if it's my desk, nothing gets put on there, but every once in a while he'll like creep over and he'll put something on my desk. I think 1, you do it on purpose just to fuck with me. But 2, like, he a lot of times feels like he doesn't have enough space. So I'm like watching this camera and I realize he put 2 clubs on my side of the fucking fireplace, not his side of the fireplace. And I'm like looking at it like, this is my area.
But I moved the poker set.
Yeah, it's true. That's true.
And
but you'll actually see, like, there's a new table on his side. That's his style of table with his whiskey and his wine. And on my side, there's actually a cigar box now. So it's quite interesting. I thought I would, like, share that with you guys.
I thought she was going to point out that I moved our chairs a little closer together.
He did move it, and he moved him back as well. Like, he does these things. And he's like, did you move my chair? No, I did not move my chair. Okay, Connor, what is another thing that can financially cost? Whether it's a business owner, a marketing individual, like it's going to cost them from a site.
Yeah, so from a website end of things, again, dealing with the whole checkout system, it's the shipping.
Yeah.
So shipping is probably one of the biggest costs for people, aside from, not having enough of a markup on a product.
Yeah.
But shipping costs a lot. Sometimes you're under costing or underpricing.
Underpricing it.
Or sometimes you're just using the wrong one. So whether it's UPS, FedEx, the regular postal mail, DHL if you're international and things like that. Having those options there for the customers, and then choosing whether it's ground or overnight or 3-day or whatnot. There are plugins out there that'll do all the calculations for you.
Yeah.
So if you
like
fill
one,
out
like one that I'm going to just go ahead and say it, because one that you've been very familiar with lately is ShipStation.
ShipStation is good. Yeah.
There's another one. Do you remember the other one that you've worked with?
eShip is another one that I've dealt with. I've dealt with a number of different ones. There's also Woo Shipping, which is out there. We deal with WooCommerce quite a bit, so we use a lot of the WooCommerce
and then there's
products.
like also a tax one. So really quickly,
yeah.
what would be
So along with the shipping,
because this is another financial issue that people can run into is not taking tax when they're supposed to take tax, right? That's like, guys, like that's never fucking fun to deal with. Whenever all of a sudden you realize, oh my gosh, I made $50,000 this year and I didn't charge tax on any of it, and then now you actually have to pull that out of your pocket to be able to pay back. So shipping is in a key area if you have a shopping cart. I would say payment processing number 1, shipping number 2, and then tax number 3. And you can actually flip those around, but that's usually the sequence of how it all happens: 1, 2, and 3.
And from the tax end, so again, we're dealing with WooCommerce. There's a couple of plugins out there that do things automatically. One is TaxJar. It is a paid service, but it's
a lifesaver.
It's one that we use nearly on every site. There's another one that is offered by WooCommerce themselves or through the Jetpack, Jetstream, whatever it is.
A plane.
But they offer a tax system through there. It is 100% free. And essentially what it does, it collects the tax rates for the individual cities in the different states. So depending on how your business is set up, you're not just charging tax for what the local city is that you're in, but you're supposed to collect the tax for the city of where the person is located in the U.S.
Right.
So if I'm shipping something to Seattle, Washington, I'm supposed to collect the taxes for Seattle, Washington, and then lump it all out when I'm doing my end of tax at the end of the year.
Right.
But some people don't do that part. Some people say, well, I only have to collect taxes within the state. I don't have to do outside of state.
Right.
I only have to collect taxes where my warehouse is. So check with your accountant, which is our number 1 default. Check with an accountant. The other thing, anytime anybody asks us a legal question, check with your lawyer. We are neither one of those. We can advise you based on the situations that we've run into.
That's the guidance from our own lawyer, to make sure you say that on video.
Yeah, you're on your own.
Yeah, so those are 2 good resources. I think you had one more thing that you wanted to share that could be a financial cost from someone. Yes? No? Oh, content. No.
Well, we dealt with content. It would be, so it's an after-the-fact situation.
Well, we dealt with font sizes.
Images would be your big thing. And it's really when it comes down to you've taken an image that you don't have the rights to, and now you're under copyright
That's like
issue.
Not fun, guys. And I will say stock companies are being really finicky right now in the fact that they're like slowly under the radar trying to charge different fees to use the images on a website. So just read the small print to make sure that you can actually utilize the images on a website. You don't have to pay an extra fee for that license. Make sure you do your due diligence, even on royalty-free images. Okay, so here's the deal about royalty-free. Yes, it's royalty-free. However, go read the terms and service anyway to figure out what are your rights, because there's people that create royalty-free image websites all the time that actually have stolen the images. So just do your due diligence.
One extra thing on that is that check with the fine print at the place where you purchase your royalty-free image, because some of them state that if the author of the image requests to remove the image, now your license is no longer valid. Even though you paid for it, it may no longer be valid. So check what happens if they decide to pull that image down. What happens to the image on your website? Again, it's an after-the-fact situation, but it'll cost buku bucks.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, guys, that's it. We came at you with a lot of information. Hopefully you had a pen and paper. If not, just rewatch.
Rewatch it. Go to YouTube. There you go. There's social media stuff right there.
Tidbits. For those that joined us live, thank you so much for tuning in. Love to have you here. For those that are joined on the replay, enjoy all of the material. We love that you're here as well. Connor will have this up on YouTube as soon as he can. He's a tad bit behind because I've been working his tail end off, but we promise it'll be there shortly. And in the meantime, have a beautiful weekend.
All right, guys. Have a great day now. Thank you.